couple of weeks ago, I went to a hot spring with no phone and nothing to do, and I sat in the most uncomfortable silence of my adult life. Not because anything was wrong, but because I had been feeling every single quiet moment with doing for so long that simply sitting and doing nothing felt like I was doing something wrong. I was falling behind. Something was wrong was going to happen that I didn't even know what I was going to do with myself. That feeling of bored was so uncomfortable, and I finally was able to identify it. And when I identified that feeling, like, oh, this is the feeling of bored that I have been avoiding and I have been buffering for so long, something happened in that stillness, in that boredom that I didn't expect. And it really has changed how I think about productivity, how I think about rest, and how I think about the feelings that we have and how we buffer from them, and where our best answers in business and in growth actually live. So a few weeks ago, it happened actually twice. A few weeks ago, I went to Hot Springs. I went to Hot Springs for Mother's Day with my sister and my nieces because it was also my niece's birthday. And then I also went to Hot Springs with my husband the week afterwards. And both times I didn't have my phone. I left my phone in the locker intentionally. And so it was very intentional because I thought, no distractions, no problem. I can sit with this. And what I realized is both times I felt this immediate discomfort. And the first time I had my sister, so I was able to talk to my sister, but I still felt this immediate discomfort and I couldn't really quite put my finger on it. The second one with my husband, I noticed that we both had decided we were not going to get distracted by phones, but I felt this discomfort and I decided to sit with this discomfort and identify and label what that discomfort was. And as I was sitting with the discomfort, I noticed that my nervous system was actually panicking because it didn't know what to do with this feeling. So I made an intentional effort, which I used coaching tools for me, and I started set with a curiosity of what could that feeling be. And I realized that it was boredom, that it was boredom that for years, for decades, I always did something to avoid it. I always distracted with my phone, distracted with games, distracted with talking to people, distracted with stories and narratives in my brain, with mind drama, just distracted it with something else. And so I learned so much about myself, like, oh, this feeling of boredom is so uncomfortable. Not like I was in a bored place, but it's like my brain didn't know what to do. And it told me of how long I had been running away from this feeling, from this discomfort by doing it. And it helped me see that this has been my pattern for the longest time. And so, as a coach, as a person who's like, I wonder what would come with from this, decided to intentionally lean into the feeling of boredom, lean into map it in my body and identifying it in my body, and lean into being open to see what this would lead me to. So the old version of me, the past me, would have not been able to sit in that silence, in that discomfort, in that boredom at all. The old version of me would have needed to do something. And the fact that I was able to sit in the discomfort, even though it was so uncomfortable, even though the boredom just felt uncomfortable, was evidence of how much I have grown. And so I show my clients all the time that when we are able to interrupt the thought, feel, and action cycle, in the action, it's progress. In the feeling, it's progress. In the thought, it's progress, because that's where change happens. So being able to sit with a very uncomfortable emotion for me, boredom, was powerful. And I was able to see the growth that I had made, because I've been able to do it with different types of emotions, but boredom was one of those that I avoided for the longest time. And I didn't even realize how much I avoided it until this time of actually sitting there in the stillness, sitting there in the boredom, and just sitting there, just being like, okay, this is boredom. Now what? And so when I just allowed myself to sit there, and it didn't even give my brain an assignment. Didn't even bring my brain anything to do. I just said I was just going to sit there and I was just going to people watch and I was just going to observe. And so I spent the whole day just observing, the whole day just being present, the whole day just being going with the flow. And then that night, what came through to me was something that I didn't expect. So, from the stillness, from the boredom, surfaced a few things that blew my mind. A course that I had been working on, I got the blueprint of exactly how to do the course. It just came to me beautifully, like the ease of creating the course without overworking, without overfunctioning, without adding more onto my plate besides this one step. And it just seemed just so beautiful, so seamless in a way that I couldn't have even, if I had tried to figure that out, it would have not happened that way. Like, just like a matter of fact, download, boom, this is how I'm going to do it. And this is how it's going to work. Because I teach my clients the minimum baseline and how to do things. And so you can become that person who does things. And I was shown how my course would fit into the minimum baseline of the work that I'm already doing. So a lot of people think that I work really hard because I show up consistently, but then I don't, because of how I'm able to make it work for me in a beautiful way. I also got the next steps in my health journey in a way that evolved so beautifully, because I heard what I was going to do. And then just even the next week, I got the proof and evidence of how it's supposed to work beautifully in a way that I could have never even created or manufactured in myself. So the clarity of what came for me is showed me how I would have been working so much harder, longer to find the solution. But just sitting in the stillness, in the boredom, and just embracing the discomfort, this clarity found me. I didn't have to do anything to go find it. I don't have to analyze, think, work through it. It just surfaced in such a beautiful way. And in the past, I would have missed the clarity that came for me. And the beautiful part about it is, if I had been distracting myself with my phone, with games, with social media, with outside entertainment, I would have missed that space that brought this clarity for me. And so that space that I could have literally robbed from myself and my future. And ironically, I have been teaching my high achieving women that we do not have a productivity problem, that we actually have a under feeling problem, like under feeling where we cannot feel emotions like discomfort, we cannot feel emotions like bored, we cannot sit in the stillness. So I always teach my clients, it's not about productivity, it's not about what you're doing, it's not about the actions that you're taking, it's about what you're feeling and what you're avoiding to feel, what you're not allowing to have space. And so for me, sitting into that discomfort of the border, sitting into that stillness, really solidified for me that we have a stillness problem. And what we have done is we have trained our nervous system to treat doing and doing a lot and showing up and over functioning and actioning and overthinking and over analyzing and over um, entertaining ourselves. We think that that will create safety. We think that that will create the result that we want. We think that that will guarantee our success, and that being bored and being still and not doing anything, not functioning, is dangerous. And so, what this shows us is that it's not dangerous. Once we're able to calm our nervous system, calm the fight or flight system in our body, and just be present and be still, so much more can come from that. And again, I'm my best client, and so proof and evidence of what I teach my clients. And so when we're not able to sit in the stillness, sit in our emotions, still sit in the stillness and the discomfort of feeling emotions, and we end up feeling every single space, what happens is the answers that we need to have never get a chance to come through. The answers that we're looking so hard for, the answers that we're trying to solve with a lot of action, never gets a chance to come through. The clarity of what we need to show up and do next, the clarity of where the direction we need to go never really comes to the surface because we're just dulling it and muting it by all this overactioning, all this overdoing. And we never allow ourselves to either sit clearly and think clearly, or we never allow ourselves to just be open to receive guidance from higher powers that know what needs to happen next. And when we keep working so much harder and over functioning, over analyzing, overthinking, we do not go further. We actually keep ourselves in this whirlwind of just doing and this whirlwind of trying to solve what we cannot solve on our by ourselves with the doing, and it's exhausting. And so I show up my clients how exhausted they are and how they overwork in a way that is just um so beautiful. And this for me revealed to me just another level of my overworking and what trusting and being still and receiving can do for us. Because for me, I could have never analytically thought my next step through. But when I sat back and just received it, it came up in a very beautiful way. And so for me, I had to also learn how to trust my intuition and trust that receiving. And so when I received it, it was so beautiful. And I help my clients be able to build that, cultivate that relationship with themselves so they can receive the next evolution of who they need to be beautifully. So this week, I want you to intentionally plan some time to do nothing. It can be an hour. I used to call mine my super thinking hour because my coach actually had taught me about the super thinking hour, and I do that where it's an hour, no distractions, no phone, no computer, no notifications, no planning, just you and sitting in that discomfort to see whatever surfaces so you can stop moving long enough so you can actually hear your wisdom, your knowledge, receive the download, receive the guidance so of what needs to happen. You have to be still enough to receive that clarity. I'm going to say that sitting in that discomfort, sitting in that boredom, sitting of that through that uncomfortable feelings that come up. Some clients have told me it's anxiety. Some clients have told me it's boredom. Some clients have told me it is uncertainty. Some clients have told me that it is the feeling of that something bad will happen, that they'll be behind. But just sitting in that, whatever that feeling is, just stay with it, label it, identify, validate to your nervous system that nothing will go wrong, that this is actually the most productive thing you can do, and just stay with it anyway, and then see what comes up. And I actually also tell my clients a weekend away, like I intentionally plan that weekend away for just that clarity thinking. I even surprised myself because I thought I would actually be doing a lot of journaling, and I didn't do any journal. I just sat presently when the download came. So give yourself some time. Start half an hour, start an hour, and just see what comes from that stillness, because that is the most productive thing you can do. So, my dear, if stillness and boredom and discomfort feels uncomfortable or unsafe, it is not something wrong with you. It is not a personality trait. You're not broken. You have just worked through these emotions by doing. The pattern is worth knowing and understanding for you and your future. If you'd like to understand yourself deeper, take my quiz. It's called What's Really Driving Your Overworking. In 3 minutes, you'll understand yourself deeper than you have in a long time. The link is in my description. My name is Ruth Duren. I'm a certified life coach, master coach trained, and MBA, and I am the life coach for immigrant businesswomen. And I help them create what they want without the necessary action and exhaustion that comes with overworking and overdoing. I'll see you in my next video, and have a blessed week. Bye-bye.